Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupāda's books right here in the live studios in Hythe, Kent, Southeast England, just a stone's throw from the English Channel. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Mahima Stotram from Sri Krishna Lila Stava, text 412 through 416, 5 verses by Srila Sanatana Goswami in glorification of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. It goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarvalokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Prabho Kalidvandoditaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Premavarshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguro Mad Mahadana Mad Nishtadaka Mad Bhagya Mad Anandana Mostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhuta dayin adini chochata kada hanamuncha gadachin mam premna ritkanta yogspura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right. Krishna is in the process of relieving the earth of its burden. We've reached chapter 67, the deliverance of Dvivida, gorilla. While Shukadeva Goswami continued to speak on the transcendental pastimes and characteristics of Lord Krishna, King Parikshit, upon hearing him, became more and more enthusiastic and wanted to hear further. Shukadeva Goswami next narrated the story of Dvivida, the gorilla who was killed by Lord Balaram. This gorilla was a great friend of Bhaumasura, or Narakasura, who was killed by Krishna in connection with his kidnapping 16,000 princesses from all over the world. Dvivida was the minister of King Sugriva. His brother, Minda, was also a very powerful gorilla king. When Dvivida gorilla heard the story of his friend Bhaumasura's being killed by Lord Krishna, he planned to create mischief throughout the country in order to avenge the death of Bhaumasura. His first business was to set fires in villages, towns, and industrial and mining places, as well as in the residential quarters of the mercantile men who were busy dairy farming and protecting cows. Sometimes he would uproot a big mountain and tear it to pieces. In this way, he created great disturbances all over the country, especially in the province of Katwar. The city of Dwarka was situated in this Katwar province, and because Lord Krishna used to live in this city, Dvivida specifically made it his target of disturbance. Dvivida was as powerful as 10,000 elephants. Sometimes he would go onto the seashore, and with his powerful hands, he would create so much disturbance that the sea would flood the neighboring cities and villages. Often he would go to the hermitages of great saintly persons and sages and cause a great disturbance by smashing their beautiful gardens and orchards. Not only did he create disturbances in that way, but sometimes he would pass urine and stool on their sacred sacrificial arenas. He would thus pollute the whole atmosphere. He also kidnapped both men and women, taking them away from their residential places to the caves of the mountains. After putting them within the caves, he would close the entrances with large chunks of stone, like the bringi insect, which arrests and carries away many flies and other insects and puts them within the holes of the trees where it lives. Thus Dvivida regularly defied the law and order of the country. Not only that, but he would sometimes pollute the female members of many aristocratic families by forcibly raping them. While creating such great disturbances all over the country, sometimes he heard very sweet musical sounds from Raivataka mountain, and so he entered that mountainous region. There he saw Lord Balarama in the midst of many beautiful young girls, enjoying their company while singing and dancing. Dvivida became captivated by the beauty of Lord Balarama's body, whose every feature was very beautiful, decorated as he was with a garland of lotus flowers. Similarly, all the young girls present, dressed and garlanded with flowers, exhibited much beauty. Lord Balarama seemed fully intoxicated from drinking the Varuni beverage, and his eyes appeared to be rolling in a drunken state. Lord Balarama appeared just like the king of the elephants in the midst of many she-elephants. This gorilla, by the name Dvivida, could climb up into trees and jump from one branch to another. Sometimes he would jerk the branches, creating a particular type of sound, kila kila, so that Lord Balarama was greatly distracted from the pleasing atmosphere. Sometimes Dvivida would come before the women and exhibit different types of caricatures. By nature, young women are apt to enjoy everything with laughter and joking, and when the gorilla came before them, they did not take him seriously, but simply laughed at him. However, the gorilla was so rude that even in the presence of Balarama, he would begin to show the lower part of his body to the women, and sometimes he would come forward to show his teeth while moving his eyebrows. He disrespected the women, even in the presence of Balarama. Lord Balarama's name suggests not only that he is very powerful, but that he takes pleasure in exhibiting extraordinary strength. So he took a stone and threw it at Dvivida. The gorilla, however, artfully avoided being struck by the stone in order to insult Balarama, the gorilla took away the earthen pot in which the Varuni was kept. Dvivida, being thus intoxicated with his limited strength, began to tear off all the valuable clothes worn by Balarama and the accompanying young girls. He was so puffed up that he thought Balarama could not do anything to chastise him, and he continued to offend Balaramaji and his companions. When Lord Balarama saw the disturbances created by the gorilla and heard that he had already performed many mischievous activities all over the country, he became very angry and decided to kill him. Immediately, he took his club in his hands. The gorilla could understand that now Balarama was going to attack him. To counteract Balarama, he immediately uprooted a big oak tree, and with great force he came and struck Lord Balarama's head. Lord Balarama, however, immediately caught hold of the big tree and remained undisturbed, just like a great mountain. To retaliate, he took his club, named Sunanda, and hit the gorilla with it, severely injuring his head. Currents of blood flowed from the gorilla's head with great force, but the stream of blood simply enhanced his beauty, like a stream of liquid manganese coming out of a great mountain. The striking of Balaram's club did not even slightly disturb him. On the contrary, he immediately uprooted another big oak tree, and after clipping off all its leaves, again struck Balaram's head with it. But Balarama, with the help of his club, tore the tree to pieces. Since the gorilla was very angry, he took another tree in his hands and struck Lord Balarama's body. Again Lord Balarama tore the tree to pieces, and the fighting continued. Each time the gorilla would bring out a big tree to strike Balarama, Lord Balarama would tear the tree to pieces by the striking of his club, and the gorilla Dvivida would clutch another tree from another direction and again attack Balarama in the same way. As a result of this continuous fighting, the forest became treeless. When no more trees were available, Dvivida took help from the hills and threw large pieces of stone, like rainfall, upon the body of Balarama. Lord Balarama, in a great sporting mood, began to smash those big pieces of stones into mere pebbles. The gorilla, being bereft of all trees and stone slabs, now stood before Balarama and waved his strong fists. Then with great force he began to beat Lord Balarama's chest with his fists. This time Lord Balarama became most angry. Since the gorilla was striking him with his hands, Lord Balarama would not strike him back with his own weapons, the club or the plow. Simply with his fists, he struck the collarbone of the gorilla. This blow proved fatal to Dvivida, who immediately vomited blood and fell unconscious upon the ground. When the gorilla fell, all the hills and forests appeared to totter. After this horrible incident, all the siddhas, great sages and saintly persons from the upper planetary system, showered flowers on the person of Lord Balarama and vibrated sounds glorifying his supremacy. All of them chanted, "All glories to Lord Balarama. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet. By killing this great demon, Dvivida, you have initiated an auspicious era for the world." All such jubilant sounds of victory were heard from outer space. After killing the great demon, Dvivida, and being worshipped by showers of flowers and glorious sounds of victory, Balarama returned to his capital city, Dwaraka. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 67th chapter of Krishna, the deliverance of Dvivida gorilla. All glories to Lord Balaram, who can handle this Dvivida gorilla, who is very powerful. 10,000 elephants worth of power. Hare Krishna. Okay, chapter 68, the marriage of Sāmba. Duryodhana, the son of Dhritarashtra, had a marriageable daughter by the name of Lakshmana. She was a very highly qualified girl of the Kuru dynasty, and many princes wanted to marry her. In such cases, the Swayamvara ceremony is held so that the girl may select her husband according to her own choice. In Lakshmana's Swayamvara assembly, when the girl was to select her husband, Sāmba appeared. He was the son of Krishna's by Jambavati, one of Lord Krishna's chief wives. This son Sāmba was so named because he was a pet child and always lived close to his mother. The name Sāmba indicates a son who was very much his mother's pet. Amba means mother, and Sa means with. So this special name was given to him because he always remained with his mother. He was also known as Jambavati Sutta for the same reason. As previously explained, all the sons of Krishna were as qualified as their great father. Sāmba wanted Duryodhana's daughter, Lakshmana, although she was not inclined to have him. Therefore, Sāmba kidnapped Lakshmana by force from the Swayamvara ceremony. Because Sāmba took Lakshmana away from the assembly by force, all the members of the Kuru dynasty, such as Dhritarashtra, Bhishma, Vidura, and Arjuna, thought it an insult to their family tradition that the boy, Sāmba, could possibly have kidnapped their daughter. All of them knew that Lakshmana was not at all inclined to select him as her husband, and that she was not given the chance to select her own husband. Instead, she was forcibly taken away by this boy. Therefore they decided that he must be punished. They unanimously declared that he was most impudent and had degraded the Kuru's family tradition. Therefore all of them, under the counsel of the elder members of the Kuru family, decided to arrest the boy, but not kill him. They concluded that the girl could not be married to any boy other than Sāmba, since she had already been touched by him. According to the Vedic system, once being touched by some boy, a girl cannot be married or given to any other boy. Nor would anyone agree to marry a girl who had already been thus associated with another boy. The elder members of the family, such as Bhishma, wanted to arrest him. Thus all the members of the Kuru dynasty, especially the great warriors, joined together just to teach him a lesson. And Kṛṣṇa was made the commander-in-chief for this small battle. While making the plan to arrest Sāmba, the Kurus counseled amongst themselves that upon his arrest, the members of the Yadu dynasty would be very angry with them. There was every possibility of the Yadus accepting the challenge and fighting with them. But they also thought, if they come here to fight with us, what could they do? The members of the Yadu dynasty cannot equal the members of the Kuru dynasty, because the kings of the Kuru dynasty are the emperors, whereas the kings of the Yadu dynasty are able to enjoy their land only because we have granted it to them. Oops. The Kurus thought, if they come here to challenge us because of their son was arrested, we shall accept the fight and teach them a lesson, so that automatically they will be subdued under pressure, as the senses are subdued by the mystic yoga process of pranayama. In the mechanical system of mystic yoga, the airs within the body are controlled, and the senses are subdued and checked from being engaged in anything other than meditation upon Lord Vishnu. After consultation, and after receiving permission from the elder members of the Kuru dynasty, such as Bhishma and Dhritarashtra, 5 great warriors, Kṛṣṇa, Śrīla, Bhuri, Yajnaketu, and Duryodhana, the father of the girl, who were all Maharatis, and who were guided by the great fighter Bhishmadeva, attempted to arrest the boy Sāmba. There are different grades of fighters, including Maharati, Ekarati, and Rati, classified according to their fighting ability. These Maharatis could fight alone with many thousands of men. All of them combined together to arrest Sāmba. Sāmba was also a Maharati, but he was alone and had to fight with the 6 other Maharatis. Still, he was not deterred when he saw all the great fighters of the Kuru dynasty coming up behind him to arrest him. Alone, he turned toward them and took his nice bow, posed exactly as a lion stands, adamant, in the face of other animals. Kṛṣṇa, leading the party, challenged Sāmba. "Why are you fleeing? Just stand, and we shall teach you a lesson." When challenged by another Kshatriya to stand and fight, a Kshatriya cannot run away. He must fight. Therefore Sāmba accepted the challenge and stood alone before them. But as soon as he did so, he was overpowered by showers of arrows shot by all the great warriors. A lion is never afraid of being chased by many wolves and jackals. Similarly, Sāmba, the glorious son of the Yadu dynasty, endowed with inconceivable potencies as the son of Lord Krishna, became very angry at the warriors of the Kuru dynasty for improperly using arrows against him. He fought with them with great talent. First of all, he struck each of the 6 charioteers with 6 separate arrows. He used another 4 arrows to kill the charioteers' horses, 4 on each chariot. Then he used 1 arrow to kill the driver and 1 arrow for Kṛṣṇa, as well as the other celebrated fighters. While Sāmba so diligently fought alone with the 6 great warriors, they all appreciated the boy's inconceivable potency. Even in the midst of the fighting, they admitted frankly that this boy Sāmba was wonderful. But the fighting was conducted in the Kshatriya spirit, so altogether, although it was improper, they obliged Sāmba to get down from his chariot, now broken to pieces. Of the 6 warriors, 4 took care to kill Sāmba's 4 horses. 1 struck down his chariot driver, and 1 managed to cut the string of Sāmba's bow that he could no longer fight with them. In this way, with great difficulty, and after a severe fight, they deprived Sāmba of his chariot and were able to arrest him. Thus the warriors of the Kuru dynasty accepted their great victory and took their daughter, Lakshmana, away from him. Thereafter, they entered the city of Hastinapur in great triumph. The great sage Narada immediately, he gets around Narada. The great sage Narada immediately carried the news to the Yadu dynasty that Sāmba had been arrested and told them the whole story. The members of the Yadu dynasty became very angry at Sāmba's being arrested, and improperly so, by 6 warriors. Now, with the permission of the head of the Yadu dynasty, King Ugrasena, they prepared to attack the capital city, of the Kuru dynasty. Although Lord Balarama knew very well that by slight provocation, people are prepared to fight one another in the age of Kali, he did not like the idea that the two great dynasties, the Kuru dynasty and the Yadu dynasty, would fight amongst themselves, even though they were influenced by Kali Yuga. Instead of fighting with them, he wisely thought, let me go there and see the situation, and let me try to see if the fight can be settled by mutual understanding. Balarama's idea was that if the Kuru dynasty could be induced to release Sāmba along with his wife Lakshmana, then the fight could be avoided. He therefore immediately arranged for a nice chariot to go to Hastinapur, accompanied by learned priests and brahmanas, as well as some of the elder members of the Yadu dynasty. He was confident that the members of the Kuru dynasty would agree to this marriage and avoid fighting with the Yadus. As Lord Balarama proceeded toward Hastinapur in his chariot, accompanied by the brahmanas and elders, he looked like the moon shining in the clear sky amongst the glittering stars. When Lord Balarama reached the precincts of the city of Hastinapur, he did not enter, but stationed himself in a camp outside the city, in a small garden house. Then he asked Uddhava to meet with the leaders of the Kuru dynasty and inquire from them whether they wanted to fight with the Yadu dynasty or make a settlement. Uddhava went to see the leaders of the Kuru dynasty, and he met all the important members, including Bhishmadev, Dhritarashtra, Dronacharya, Duryodhana, and Balika. After offering them due respects, he informed them that Lord Balarama had arrived at the garden outside the city gate. The leaders of the Kuru dynasty, especially Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, were joyful because they knew very well that Lord Balarama was a great well-wisher of their family. There were no bounds to their joy on hearing the news, and so they immediately welcomed Uddhava. In order to properly receive Lord Balarama, they all took in their hands auspicious paraphernalia for his reception and went to see him outside the city gate. According to their respective positions, they welcomed Lord Balarama by giving him in charity nice cows and arghya, a mixture of arati water, and an assortment of items such as honey, butter, flowers, and sandalwood pulp. Because all of them knew the exalted position of Lord Balarama as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they bowed their heads before the Lord with great respect. They all exchanged words of reception by asking one another about their welfare. And when such formalities were finished, Lord Balarama, in a great voice and very patiently, submitted before them the following words for their consideration. My dear friends, this time I have come to you as a messenger with the order of the all-powerful King Ugrasena. Please, therefore, hear the order with attention and great care. Without wasting a single moment, please try to carry out the order. King Ugrasena knows very well that you warriors of the Kuru dynasty improperly fought with the pious Sāmba, who was alone, and that with great difficulty and unrighteous tactics you have arrested him. We have all heard this news, but we are not very much agitated because we are most intimately related to one another. I do not think we should disturb our good relationship. We should continue our friendship without any unnecessary fighting. Please, therefore, immediately release Sāmba and bring him along with his wife Lakshmana before me. When Lord Balarama spoke in a commanding tone, full of heroic assertion, supremacy, and chivalry, the leaders of the Kuru dynasty did not appreciate his statements. Rather, all of them became agitated. And with great anger, they said, "Oh, these words are very astonishing, but quite befitting the age of Kali. Otherwise, how could Balarama speak so vituperatively? The language and tone used by Balarama are simply abusive, and due to the influence of this age, it appears that the shoes befitting the feet want to rise to the top of the head, where the helmet is worn." We are connected with the Yadu dynasty by marriage, and because of this, they have been given the chance to come live with us, dine with us, and sleep with us. Now they are taking advantage of these privileges. They had practically no position before we gave them a portion of our kingdom to rule, and now they are trying to command us. We have allowed the Yadu dynasty to use the royal insignias like the whisk, fan, conch shell, white umbrella, crown, royal throne, sitting place, and bedstead, along with everything else befitting the royal order. They should not have used such royal paraphernalia in our presence, but we did not check them due to our family relationships. Now, they have the audacity to order us to do things. Well, enough of their impudence. We cannot allow them to do any more of these things, nor shall we allow them to use these royal insignias. It would be best to take all these things away. It is improper to feed a snake with milk, since such merciful activities simply increase his venom. The Yadu dynasty is now trying to go against those who have fed them so nicely. Their flourishing condition is due to our gifts and merciful behavior, and still they are so shameless that they are trying to order us. How regrettable are all these activities. No one in the world can enjoy anything. Members of the Kuru dynasty like Bhishma, Dronacharya, and Arjuna do not allow them to. Exactly as a lamb cannot enjoy life in the presence of a lion, without our desire, it is not even possible for the demigods in heaven, headed by King Indra, to find enjoyment in life. What to speak of ordinary human beings? Actually, the members of the Kuru dynasty were very much puffed up due to their opulence, kingdom, aristocracy, family tradition, great warriors, family members, and vast, expansive empire. They did not even observe common formalities of civilized society, and in the presence of Lord Balarama, they uttered insulting words about the Yadu dynasty. Having spoken in this unmannerly way, they returned to their city of Hastinapur. Although Lord Balarama patiently heard their insulting words and simply observed their uncivil behavior, from his appearance it was clear that he was burning with anger and was thinking of retaliating with great vengeance. His bodily features became so much agitated that it was difficult for anyone to look at him. He laughed very loudly and said, "It is true that if a man becomes too much puffed up because of his family, opulence, beauty, and material advancement, he no longer wants a peaceful life, but becomes belligerent toward all others. It is useless to give such a person good instruction for gentle behavior and a peaceful life. It is useless to give such persons good instruction for gentle behavior and a peaceful life. On the contrary, one should search out the ways and means to punish him. Generally, due to material opulence, a man becomes exactly like an animal. To give an animal peaceful instructions is useless, and the only means is argumentum ad baculum. In other words, the only means to keep animals in order is a stick. Just see how impudent all the members of the Kuru dynasty. I wanted to make a peaceful settlement, despite the anger of all the other members of the Yadu dynasty, including Lord Krishna himself. They were preparing to attack the whole kingdom of the Yadu dynasty, but I pacified them and took the trouble to come here to settle the affair without any fighting. Yet these rascals behave like this? It is clear that they do not want a peaceful settlement, for they are factually warmongers. With great pride, they have repeatedly insulted me by calling the Yadu dynasty ill names. Even the king of heaven, Indra, abides by the order of the Yadu dynasty, and you consider King Ugrasena, the head of the Bhojas, Vrishnis, Andakas, and Yadavas, to be the leader of a small phalanx? Your conclusion is wonderful. You do not care for King Ugrasena, whose order is obeyed even by King Indra. Consider the exalted position of the Yadu dynasty. They have forcibly used both the assembly house and the Parijata tree of the heavenly planets, and still you think they cannot order you? Don't you even think that Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can sit on an exalted royal throne and command everyone? All right. If your thinking is like that, you deserve to be taught a very good lesson. You have thought it wise that the royal insignias like the whisk, fan, white umbrella, and royal throne, and other princely paraphernalia not be used by the Yadu dynasty. Does this mean that even Lord Krishna, the Lord of the whole creation, and the husband of the goddess of fortune, cannot use this royal paraphernalia? The dust of Krishna's lotus feet is worshipped by all the great demigods. The Ganges water inundates the whole world, and since it emanates from his lotus feet, its banks have turned into great places of pilgrimage. The principal deities of all planets engage in his service and consider themselves most fortunate to take the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna on their helmets. Great demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and even the goddess of fortune and I are simply plenary parts of his spiritual identity. And still, you think that he is not fit to use the royal insignia or even sit on the royal throne? Alas, how regrettable it is that these fools consider us, the members of the Yadu dynasty, to be like shoes and themselves like helmets. It is clear now that these leaders of the Kuru dynasty have become mad over their worldly possessions and opulence. Every statement they made was full of crazy proposals. I should immediately take them to task and bring them to their senses. If I do not take steps against them, it will be improper on my part. Therefore, on this very day, I shall rid the whole world of any trace of the Kuru dynasty. I shall finish them off immediately. While talking like this, Lord Balarama seemed so furious that he looked as if he could burn the whole cosmic creation to ashes. He stood up steadily and, taking his plow in his hand, began striking the earth with it, separating the whole city of Hastinapur from the earth, and then he began to drag the city toward the flowing river of the river Ganges. This caused a great tremor throughout Hastinapur, and as if there had been an earthquake, and it seemed that the whole city would be dismantled. When all the members of the Kuru dynasty saw that their city was about to fall into the water of the Ganges, and when they heard their citizens howling in great anxiety, they immediately came to their senses and understood what was happening. Thus, without waiting another second, they brought forward their daughter Lakshmana. They also brought Sāmba, who had forcibly tried to take her away. They also brought Sāmba, who had forcibly tried to take her away, keeping him in the forefront with Lakshmana at his back. All the members of the Kuru dynasty appeared before Lord Balarama with folded hands, just to beg the pardon of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, using good sense, they said, "O Lord Balarama, reservoir of all pleasures, you are the maintainer and support of the entire cosmic situation. Unfortunately, we were all unaware of your inconceivable potencies. Dear Lord, please consider us most foolish. Our intelligence was bewildered and not in order. Therefore we have come before you to beg your pardon. Please excuse us. You are the original creator, sustainer, and annihilator of the whole cosmic manifestation. And still, your position is always transcendental. O all-powerful Lord, great sages speak about you. You are the original puppeteer, and everything in the world is just like your toy. O unlimited one, you have a hold on everything, and like child's play, you hold all the planetary systems on your head. When the time for dissolution comes, you close up the whole cosmic manifestation within yourself. At that time, nothing remains but yourself, lying in the causal ocean as Maha-Vishnu. Our dear Lord, you have appeared in this earth in your transcendental body just for the maintenance of the cosmic manifestation, cosmic situation. You are above all anger, envy, and enmity. Whatever you do, even in the form of chastisement, is auspicious for the whole material existence. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you because you are the imperishable, Supreme Personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all opulences and potencies. O Creator of innumerable universes, let us fall down and offer you our respectful obeisances again and again. We are now completely surrendered unto you. Please, therefore, be merciful upon us and give us your protection." When the prominent members of the Kuru dynasty, from grandfather Bhishma to Arjuna and Duryodhana, had offered their respectful prayers in that way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Balarama, immediately became softened and assured them that there was no cause for fear and that they need not worry. For the most part, it was the practice of the Kshatriya kings to inaugurate some kind of fighting between parties of the bride and bridegroom before the marriage. When Sāmba forcibly took away Lakshmana, the elder members of the Kuru dynasty were pleased to see that he was actually the suitable match for her. In order to see his personal strength, however, they fought with him, and without respect for the regulations of fighting, they all arrested him. When the Yadu dynasty decided to release Sāmba from the confinement of the Kurus, Lord Balarama came personally to settle the matter, and as a powerful Kshatriya, he ordered them to free Sāmba immediately. The Kauravas were superficially insulted by this order, so they challenged Lord Balarama's power. They simply wanted to see him exhibit his inconceivable strength. Thus, with great pleasure, they handed over their daughter to Sāmba, and the whole matter was settled. Duryodhana, being affectionate toward his daughter Lakshmana, had her married to Sāmba in great pomp. For her dowry, he first gave 1,200 elephants, each at least 60 years old, and he gave 10,000 nice horses, 6,000 chariots, dazzling, just like the sunshine, and 1,000 maidservants decorated with golden ornaments. Lord Balarama, the most prominent member of the Yadu dynasty, acted as guardian of the bridegroom, Sāmba, and very pleasingly accepted the dowry. Balarama was very satisfied after his great reception from the side of the Kurus, and accompanied by the newly married couple, he started toward his city capital of Dwarka. Lord Balarama triumphantly reached Dwarka, where he met with many citizens who were all his devotees and friends. When they all assembled, Lord Balarama narrated the whole story of the marriage, and they were astonished to hear how Balarama had made the city of Hastinapur tremble. It is confirmed by Shukadeva Goswami that in those days the river flowing through the city of Hastinapur, present-day New Delhi, was known as the Ganges, although today it is called the Yamuna. From authorities like Jiva Goswami, it is confirmed that the Ganges and Yamuna are the same river flowing in different courses. The part of the Ganges which flows through Hastinapur to the area of Vrindavan is called the Yamuna because it is sanctified by the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna. The part of Hastinapur which slopes toward the Yamuna becomes inundated during the rainy season and reminds everyone of Lord Balarama's threatening to cast the city into the Ganges. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 68th chapter of Krishna, the marriage of Sambhu. All glories to Lord Balaram, the powerful Lord Balaram. All glories to Lord Krishna, who's even more powerful than Lord Balaram. Hare Krishna. Yeah, once Prabhupada in Vrindavan, there were some senior devotees around. Brahmananda was there, Giriraj and others. So Prabhupada asked the question, who's more powerful? Balarama or Krishna? And most of them said, Lord Balarama, because he's the source of all strength. And then when it came to Giriraj Swami, Giriraj, at the time Giriraj Brahmachari, Giriraj said, I think Krishna is more powerful. Prabhupada raised his eyes, said, what? Yes? Everyone else said, Balaram is more powerful. How can you say that? He said, well, look at them. Balaram's resting on Krishna's shoulder. And Krishna and Prabhupada raised his eyebrows. He says, oh yes, you have understood. Hare Krishna. But still at the same time, they're equally powerful. So there you have it. The glories of Lord Balaram's strength, killing the Dvivida, humbling the Kuru dynasty, Okay, we'll stop here. It's a little after 8 o'clock. And we'll petition the hearers today. I know there's at least 1,000 of you out there, Hare Krishna, to give their reflections and discussions and so on.
First is from Devadarana.
Devadarana, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to Prabhupada.
From Gopal Champu.
Gopal Champu, I was just with you today. Hare Krishna.
He says, His Holiness Keshav Bharti Maharaj Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
This is from Benjamin.
Benjamin.
He says, Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj, and dear devotees.
Well, Hare Krishna, Benjamin. I mean, there are lots of Benjamins in the world. I'm trying to place him. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Rati Manjari says, Jai Guru Maharaj.
Jai Rati.
This is from Daitari Haridas.
Daitari Haridas.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, thanks again for these readings. Previously, Dvivida helped Lord Rama defeat Ravana's Rakshasa army, but here it seems he's become a demon. Was he a devotee of Lord Rama at some point? How did he fall down, and how did he even rectify his fall down?
You know, I don't know, honestly, I don't know the background of that story. I'm trying to remember exactly the words of he was a friend of, I don't know. I can't say something that I'm not sure about, so I will leave it. And do some research and let me know, please.
Next is from Gauranga Gopal.
Haribo Gauranga Gopal, Haribo.
He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for reading tonight. I just thought it to be interesting that when Sāmba kidnapped Lakshmana, there was an agreement amongst the whole Kuru dynasty, including Dhritarashtra, Bhishma, Vidura, and Arjuna, taking it as an insult to their family tradition.
Yes.
It seems that the glories of their own dynasty is more important for them even than their fratricidal conflict. Just like when Duryodhana discovers that Ashvatthama killed the 5 sons of Draupadi, and thus became filled with despair thinking of the end of the Kuru dynasty.
Well, it's the spirit, it's the Kshatriya spirit, you know? The Kshatriyas were guided by principles, and those principles were, you know, sometimes caused them to, you know, go against the family tradition. You know, in the Battle of Kurukshetra, remember when Arjuna, in the Gita, when it was described, when Arjuna asked Krishna to pull his chariot between the 2 armies, and then he saw on both sides different family members and friends and relatives. So, you know, when it came to chivalrous activities and honor of the Kshatriya was everything. Therefore, Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, he said, you know, those who have been honored, for those who have been dishonored, dishonor is worse than death. So that's a principle of the Vedic culture for the Kshatriyas, not for everyone, just for the Kshatriyas. And sometimes those feelings overcome them. But then, when they saw and remembered who Lord Balarama was, when they weren't in that state of Kshatriya kind of pride and arrogance, then they saw the errors of their ways. Hare Krishna. I don't know what more to say than that.
Next is from Anandamurti Devidasa.
Hare Krishna Anandamurti.
She says, Jai Guru Maharaj and all assembled devotees, please accept my humble obeisances.
Haribol.
All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Glories to Prabhupada.
Thank you so much for reading Krishna book. Today I understand the power of Lord Balaram. The whole story becomes complete after the Lord shows his transcendental pastime.
Yes. And that brings up a point. She's making another point that actually addresses this apparent contradiction of how, some of the, arch enemies like Arjuna and Duryodhana would come together. This is pastimes. These are all Krishna's pastimes. So sometimes they break the laws and sometimes they follow the laws strictly. Hare Krishna. Proof that the Lord can do anything.
This is from Gopakanya.
Haribo, Gopakanya, Hare Krishna.
She says, Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj, and all devotees. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada and your daily reading service of Śrīla Prabhupada's books.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
From Sabina Kurana. Hare Krishna Maharaj, my obeisances, really enjoying these readings. Jai, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, thank you. I'm enjoying doing the readings also. They're so sweet, powerful, entertaining, at the same time humbling and purifying.
From Bhaktirupa.
Haribo Bhaktirupa.
He says, Jai, thanks for reading, Maharaj. The Dvivida pastime was the first I heard after moving into the ashram.
Oh.
I remember laughing so much hearing about the different ways he tried to disturb Balaram and the gopis.
Yeah.
Showing his teeth and moving his eyebrows, amongst other things, seems so comical. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yeah. Thank you for that reflection.
Devadarana says, Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Your Holiness, for your great mercy.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Raman Rickman.
Oh, that's Rohini Nandana, I think.
He says, Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj, thank you very much. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
From Vilas Manjari.
Haribo Vilas Manjari, Hare Krishna.
She says, Dear Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Lord Balaram's chivalry. I noticed how quickly the Kurus flipped from their affectionate welcome to insulting Balaram, and I also appreciated how, when they did, Balaram patiently listened and observed them and didn't respond straight away, although he was clearly angry.
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice lesson in how to deal with verbal conflict.
Yeah, very good, very good. Yeah, if we read like that, that's called that's active reading. Yeah, that's very good. They're all lessons for us how to behave and how to appreciate also Krishna and his entourage. Thank you.
No comments from Rati Manjari.
Okay, Haribo Rati.
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Tonight's pastime was fascinating and full of twists. Thank you for your enlivened reading.
Yeah, well, all the emotions that we have are all coming from the spiritual world, but in the spiritual world they are pure, and here they are not. So I guess you could say that sometimes it's mentioned by our acharyas that Krishna, because of his sporting attitude, because sporting attitude is coming from somewhere, it's coming from Krishna. So so sometimes they don't have to, but they exhibit these emotions and these proclivities that they don't do in the spiritual world in the same way, because there's not conflicting parties in that way. There may be some competition between the gopis for Krishna's favor or Balaram's, and there may be some competition of cowherd boys when they play with Krishna, but it's all in the form of play. It doesn't get serious like these, But like someone just said, there are lessons in all of these. Whatever Krishna does, even when he's killing demons, he's very compassionate to everybody, and and Balaram's the same. Even though he's angry, he became angry quickly, and he became pacified quickly when they came to their senses. So their anger is not like our anger, that we lose our anger and then do something crazy. So that ability Balaram had to listen and not do anything was another exhibition, yes, of how to stay controlled. And even when he acted, it was very, what's the word? It was not uncontrolled. It was very systematically done and very forcefully and tactfully done. Hare Krishna, all glories to Lord Balarama. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, ki jai. Samaveda Bhaktivedanta ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.